Hello everyone, welcome to Katia Plant Scientist Garden. Today I'm going to talk to you about how you can grow your very own beautiful apricot tree from a single seed. Apricots are a pretty popular fruit in supermarkets, and some of these can grow into beautiful full-size trees with the right care. I'm going to show you how you can take apricot seeds and grow your whole new apricot tree from them. This apricot was grown from a seed that I got from a supermarket apricot over 10 years ago. Last year, it produced a fabulous harvest of around 80 apricots. So we know that this one is well adapted to the climate and conditions it's in. So I would love to have more of them for my garden in the future. That's why I collected the pits and took care of them. And I'm going to show you how to grow them into your own apricot tree. I also did something very similar with the beautiful vampire peaches that you may have seen in one of my other videos. Let's go find out how to look after these seeds so that they can grow into new trees. Hello everybody, I'm now going to show you how we prepare peach and apricot seeds for cold stratification and hopefully germination. You might be wondering why the peach pits and the apricot stones are sitting here in these glasses, and that's because I am soaking them before they go in for their cold stratification. However, I didn't just pop them into the glasses after taking them out of the fruits and letting them dry out. Oh no, I did another thing. And the thing that I did is that I cut a hole in the hard stone here, so you can see the kernel, which is the part that will develop into the plant, is inside there. So I cut a hole in there to allow water to enter the shell here and access the kernel. And when the kernel is in contact with water, its seeds undergo a reaction by which they imbibe the water, and it helps the seed know that it is time to germinate. With a lot of these, they require cold stratification to simulate winter cold before they sprout. It's pretty easy to cut a hole in the apricots, but with the peach pits, they are a lot tougher, and that's because of their round shape with all of these ridges. It's kind of hard to get a hold of them to cut them. So what I did is I used the pliers to nip off the ends of them and just kind of damage the pit so that there were some little apertures by which the water could get in there and reach the kernels. This also creates a weak spot in the shell that might make it easier for the kernel, when it germinates, to prise open the pit and start sending out its embryonic root and shoot system. See, there's a little hole that I made, and you can see the kernel is all swollen up there because it's taken in water. In working on these, I did actually manage to get a couple of kernels out so I can show you what they look like. It looks remarkably like an almond, don't you think? That's because they come from the same plant family, Prunus. So this is Prunus persica. So yes, it is a type of Prunus, and almond is also in the Prunus genus, and likewise that's why it looks like an almond. However, I wouldn't recommend eating these because they have high amounts of amygdalin, which can be converted to cyanide if eaten. So although they're used very sparingly in flavoring for certain traditional desserts like amaretti biscuits to give it a marzipan-like flavor, please don't go eating these by the handful. They're much better to try to sprout into fruit trees. So what I'm going to do next, after they've soaked overnight, is I'm going to place them in some Ziploc bags with some wadded up paper towels and place them in the fridge for a couple of months. And then I'm going to check on them to see if they're sprouting. If they are sprouting, I'm going to put them in dirt and in pots and let them start to germinate. Hello everybody. Are you excited to see what's happened with our cold treated seeds? Well, let's find out. This is approximately 2 months later. So what we've got here is, look at this. We've got little roots here. See, look, we have the embryonic roots, the radicles growing out of our apricot seed. So as you can see, our apricot seeds are ready to go in the ground. Based off what we're seeing here, we can see the embryonic root here, and it's growing out of the holes that we made in the shell. So that shows that making a hole in the shell is very helpful for the seed's germination. So these are delicious apricots that grow on the side of the house. So I'm going to be planting these in one large pot and then transferring them to their own individual pots as they develop. So this is really good to see that breaking the shell, soaking the seed, and putting it in the cold for a couple of months is an effective way to get your own apricot plantation going. Now let's have a look at our peaches. They received exactly the same treatment, except that the peach stones were very hard to break open. Now, I don't see any little roots poking out. I do see superficial mold on the peach stones, and to be honest, I'm not sure whether that means that the peach seed inside is inviable. I mean, that one is quite moldy indeed. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how to interpret this. It could be that the peach seeds are not viable. It could mean that they're in there, they're just waiting to bust out of there, and the mold is superficial. But given that there is a lot of mold on these seeds, I'm going to go ahead and pop them into the dirt in their own pots alongside the apricot seeds, and let's see what happens. So join me next time when I'll be showing you the progress of these little seeds. Thank you for joining me. Hello everybody. Welcome to Katia Plant Scientist's greenhouse. I have an exciting update on the so-called moldy peach pits. I have some good news. As it turns out, being soaked for so long has meant that a lot of these peach pits are very easy to open up. So we can open up the peach pit and get the kernel out. So see, as you can see, the peach pit popped right open, and inside, free from mold, is a beautiful, perfect kernel. See how it resembles an almond? Well, that's because they're in the genus Prunus. So peaches are, of course, close relatives of almonds, cherries, and plums. So what are we going to do with these little pits? Well, we're putting them to the side over here, and as you can see, some of them are fixing to germinate. See how we can see the radicle poking out of the end of the kernel here? So that shows, to our great delight, that the peach kernels, the seed inside the peach pit, were still viable despite the mold. Now, unfortunately, we've had a few casualties, like this one here. As you can see, the mold spread to the peach kernel, so sadly we're going to discard that one, but it's okay because we have plenty more to work with. So see, being soaked like that softened them up, pops them out, and you can retrieve your lovely, healthy, whole peach kernel. So we're going to be putting these kernels into these pots of soil. So we're going to just line them up in there, and we're going to plant them on edge like this, because this is a way to decrease the chances that a seed will rot if it's planted like so. Also, when its radicle comes out, it will go straight down into the earth, and the shoot system will go upwards. I'm very excited that our peach pit harvest was not a washout and that we've got some viable seeds. So I'm looking forward to showing you the peach kernels as they germinate into little peach seedlings. So join me next time to see the results. Welcome back. I'm sure you're wondering what's going on with the apricots. Well, this is what's going on with the apricots. So as we saw before, they germinated nicely in their plastic bag in the fridge. We have a nice long radicle, which is the embryonic root. And right here we can see the embryonic shoot system coming out as well. So probably what will happen here is that the almond-like kernel will remain inside the pit while the root system grows downwards and the shoot system grows upwards. However, we can give these seeds a helping hand by popping open the kernel and by popping open the pit, to release the kernel, which can then be planted separately in the soil. Now, not all of them have had pits that are in the right kind of condition to be popped open. If you see kind of an open seam, like say here, I'm going to pop this open with my little spatula, then you can take the kernel out. And of course, always make sure to plant them in the soil with the radicle facing downwards. So yes, as you can see, the same principles that apply to germinating the peaches likewise apply to germinating the apricots. Welcome back to the greenhouse. It's about 2 weeks later, Lo and behold, we have a little apricot sprout. As you can see, one of our germinating seeds has now broken through the earth and is getting ready to grow into an apricot tree. I'm sure that the peaches and other apricot seeds are not far behind in their race to break through the soil and start growing. For joining me. I hope this inspires you to grow your own fruit trees from seed. Thank you for joining me, and stay curious about plants, everyone.